not only black officers, but black people in general who are hired by the American white power structure, particularly those who work in government positions like police, education, civil service jobs. They always identify with the power structure because those jobs are considered high commodities in black America. Good retirement, good benefits, good medical care, and good take-home pay. I always say that some of the worst blacks are those who work for the government because they will go out of their way to defend the white man against the black man in order to keep their job. You see it right now with Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican senator in the U.S. Congress who gave a rebuttal to President Biden's address to Congress the other night, which was weak and ridiculous, and he didn't really tackle the issues that affect black people. He's clearly going to skate like Obama did for his first term in office. But Tim Scott, who had the audacity as a black man to get on national television and say America is not racist, and then turn around and your Democratic vice president, Ms. Kamala Harris, echoed Senator Scott's sentiment when she also said that America is not racist. So your highest black congressman in Tim Scott, a Republican congressman in Tim Scott said America is not racist. And then you have your highest ranking black Democrat in the White House, Vice President Kamala Harris, also says America is not racist. So finally, the Republicans and the Democrats do agree on something, and that is that America isn't racist and black people are just complaining and don't want to take responsibility for their own actions.
Now, the powers that be that allow the vice president to be in there to be black, let me get your thoughts on that.
Well, the situation with Kamala Harris, personally, I believe that her election or selection was really due to international affairs. That was a foreign policy issue that seated her in the VP slot. And I say that because, as you know, America has an ongoing Cold War with Russia and a very real economic war with China. And Russia, China, and India all sit on the Asian continent, and they are all three powerhouses. India, just like China, is one of the largest countries in the world with regard to population. India is also fast becoming an IT giant in the world, and America cannot afford for the nation of India to join politically in with Russia or China. So Kamala Harris being in the White House, in my opinion, is more about keeping India friendly to the United States' foreign agenda than it is about putting a black person in the White House. That was simply a token of appreciation and diplomacy to the nation of India. And these immigrants that Joe Biden is talking about bringing in, he wants to naturalize 11 million undocumented immigrants and make them citizens. And he also wants to give them all work visas. So can somebody answer a question for me? How does the president have time to pay attention to non-citizens? How does he have time to give citizenship to 11 million illegal immigrants and also provide them with a work visa when half the black men in Philadelphia are unemployed, half the black men in New York, Houston, L.A., Baltimore, D.C., Milwaukee, Detroit, Chicago, and we can go on and on. You have black men who are unemployed, and the mass unemployment of black men is one of the central reasons for the recidivism, the mass incarceration recidivism rate of black men and black women. In fact, the unemployment of black men in America is so alarming that the United Nations has classified the unemployment of black men as a human rights abuse. And instead of addressing that human rights abuse, President Biden would rather pay attention to illegal immigrants and help them find jobs instead of the black people who actually built this country.
Let's go to the phone line. Line 3, George in West Philly. George, welcome to the show.
And a good evening to you, and thank you for having the show. As a member of Word Radio, this guy, in my opinion, is like Tim Scott. He just made a mess, and he stepped back in it, and he stinks.
Who are you referring to, Mr. George?
Who's on the radio now voicing all of this and espousing all of this hatred about black people?
Well, I'm going to let Dr. Umar answer that, Mr. George.
Well, Dr. Umar is who I'm addressing everything to.
Okay, we'll give him an opportunity to answer what you said about him.
Go for it.
Well, the accusation is somewhat preposterous from where I sit, because I have nothing to offer black people but love. There is a such thing as righteous indignation, and that's what I come to the airways with today, and that is righteous indignation. If you are black in America and you are not angry about what's happening, then you are complicit in what's happening. There's no way you can sit by and watch the mass incarceration, the miseducation, the economic castration, the gentrification, and the police genocide and not be bothered by it. But I would say that three things, not the only three, but the beginning, three things that black people do need to take target at, in my opinion. Number one is the Congressional Black Caucus. They have been impotent. They have been ineffective. We have not heard from them as a unit. They have been in existence since 1971. They are the ones most responsible, along with the NAACP and Urban League, forcing black people to come out every 4 years to vote for these white Democrats who don't deliver anything to us. They haven't said anything about Joe Biden's attention being exclusively focused on Asians, transgenders, and immigrants, and not being focused on the problems that face black people. So we need to remove all of them. There may be a few exceptions, but most of the almost 60 members of the Congressional Black Caucus need to be removed from office as soon as possible and replaced with more progressive thinking, revolutionary-minded young black candidates. That's number one. Number two, we need to also put pressure on this upcoming George Floyd policing bill, which in my opinion is rather weak. I believe that if a police officer murders an unarmed black person, it should automatically be treated like a hate crime. It should automatically be treated and prosecuted as a hate crime, because that's what it is. And the other change I would like to see is when they are sued, their defense should not be paid for by the same community whose loved one they murdered. It doesn't make sense to make black taxpayers pay for the defense of these police. And that's exactly what happens. And when they're given paid leave, we're still paying for their employment after they murdered a member of our family. So going forward, all expenses related to the defense of these police assassins should come out of their police pension. Once you start making police financially culpable for their assassinations of black people, you will see a change in behavior, because none of these white folks want to lose their retirement on the account of irresponsible police behavior.